Welcome everyone. Thanks very much for joining us on behalf of Noronex, ASX code NRX. Welcome to this investor webinar. My name is Nicholas Reid from Reid Corporate, and it's my great pleasure to introduce Victor Rajasooriar, the new Managing Director of Noronex. Victor joined the company in May, and his feet have barely touched the ground since. He's been to site to visit the company's copper projects in Namibia and Botswana. He spent plenty of time with the company's strategic alliance partner, South32, and he's recently announced the signing of a major new drilling contract and an expansion of the company's strategic alliance into Botswana. All great news for Noronex shareholders. Victor's here today to tell us what's coming up for Noronex in the months ahead, and importantly, how he plans to create value for shareholders. Just before we get into it, just a quick reminder to everyone that's tuned in, this is intended as an interactive session. You'll see a Q&A tab on the right-hand side of your browser. Please use that to send questions in while Victor's presenting, and I'll make sure that we cover off on everything once he's finished. We do also have some email questions that we'll deal with as well. So with that introduction, just a very warm welcome to Victor. Victor, it's great to have you in this morning. Great to see you leading Noronex, leading the charge there, and please take us through what's happening.
Thanks, Nicholas, and good morning, everyone, and thanks for dialing into the webinar. Listen, I've got a very exciting story in front of us, and I'll take you through that in the next 20 minutes. And you have to keep in mind, we are just a small exploration company, but we have big plans, and we are going to deliver this in Namibia and Botswana. We have a large-scale copper belt to explore, and we're actually going to do that with our partnership with South32, who are a leading global miner. So hopefully in the next 20 minutes, you'll get to understand the story that we are developing. I'll skip through the usual disclaimers. This presentation has been lodged on the ASX platform, and feel free to read the disclaimer at your own convenience. So what are we all about? We have about 10,000 square kilometers of ground in the Kalahari Copper Belt, covers Namibia, and recently we went into Botswana. We certainly have a large landholding, and to explore this, we came up with a plan to develop a strategic alliance with South32, and they are going to spend $20 million over 5 years to explore on this ground. So FY26 has just started, and the commitment is that they'll be spending $3 million in the Namibian side of the joint venture and $1 million into the Botswana tenement package. So it's very exciting for a small company like us. The current focus is we are drilling a diamond drill hole in one of the projects called Oosterveld in the Humbeck area. And then there's a major exploration program starting in August, which is about 7,000 meters of RC drilling. Our market cap is $7 million. As I said, we are a small exploration company, but this is where we come up with a really good leverage to exploration success. And hopefully over the next 12 months, we get to see the company growing. So very quickly on the corporate overview, we have 565 million shares on issue. The current share price is 1.3 cents, and market cap is $7 million. The cash at the end of quarter was $1 million. We manage our capital very tightly in the sense that we use the $1 million that South32 will be giving us to put into the ground. So that's how we manage it very, very tightly. We have an experienced board and management. One of the founders was David Prentice, who's our chairman, brings a lot of commercial knowledge to our team. I'm a mining engineer by background. Piers is a finance background and brings a lot of corporate governance into our group. And then there's Rob, who's a lawyer. He's ex-Sandfire, by the way, and he was part of the team that took over Mod Resources in Botswana when he was with Sandfire. Bruce Hooper is our chief geologist, a very experienced geologist. He's actually ex-Sandfire as well. Spent 9 years with them in the role of chief exploration and business development manager, and a lot of Namibian and Botswana experience. And in country, we've got Rian and Aba, who look after Botswana and Namibia, and they have geological background. So a really good team in that sense. Looking at our shareholders, James Thompson is the largest shareholder. James was one of the founders of Noronex, and until recently, he was the executive director. And he made way for me to join the company, and he's a very good supportive shareholder of us. The second largest shareholders and the high net worth, there's a handful of high net worths, and they make 21%, and then retail is about 61%. Now I'll move to why are we in copper. So we are in copper because the fundamentals are very strong. And there's a lot of demand, and the supply doesn't seem to be coming. So if you look at the copper price, just in this year, copper price has gone up by nearly 15%. Recently, even hit $10,000 a ton US, currently sitting just under $10,000. Goldman & Sachs are predicting that the demand is going to grow up by 3.5% next year. Whereas the supply is only increasing by about 1.2%. So they are basically forecasting a deficit of copper moving forward. And you could see that evolving in real life with the LME stockpiles basically halving in February to 132,000 tons. And all this demand is coming from the acceleration towards electrification in the global economy. You know, you see a lot of solar panels, electric vehicles, batteries, and these consume a lot of copper. So the demand is certainly there. So how are we going to play a role? And this is where I think it's a unique opportunity for Noronex. We are in the Kalahari district. This district in 2008 had 0 copper resource. Since then, it's grown to 8 million tons. And the majority of the 8 million tons is between Sandfire and MMG in the Botswana side. The area towards the west is underexplored, and this is where we are going to play a key role in. And the countries, both Namibia and Botswana, are very mining friendly. So even when Sandfire discovered the Mothia project, it only took them 7 years to bring it into production, so which is a good sign. And the copper deposits that we are targeting are very similar to the MMG, Khoemacau, Mothia type deposits. They are sedimentary copper deposits. So we're looking for these large volumes, you know, like we're targeting like 100 million ton types deposits, and they certainly are available or present in that copper belt. Whitflay is our project, and we have currently a resource of 10 million tons, which I'll touch on in the few slides as well. We have the Kalahari Copper Belt. We have the largest land holding in the Kalahari Copper Belt. And this picture here gives you a good overview of what's available around our ground. So the tenements that we have the black border, and you could see the Humpback joint venture with South 32, the Damara joint venture ground with South 32, and the recent Botswana tenements to the right of the Namibian border. And the South 32 joint venture is a fantastic joint venture where they are going to spend the money exploring this ground, where they get a 60% interest and we retain the 40%. If you look at the right-hand side of that picture, you see the Zone 5 mine that MMG bought. I mean, they bought that for nearly just under $2 billion, I think, from memory last year. And then we've got Sandfire that bought the exploration ground. They took over Mod Resources, which was an exploration company, and that deal was worth about $167 million. So there certainly has been some deals done for these multi-billion-dollar companies to come into. And we also see that BHP recently started a joint venture with Cobre. So there's a lot of interest in that ground. Further to the west of our joint venture ground, you see the Whitflay project, where we have a resource of 10 million tons. And then further south of Whitflay is our Dodabis project, which we actually made an announcement a while ago saying that we were selling that asset. that asset that sale, I guess, should conclude hopefully this quarter, and we should see about 600,000 Australian dollars coming into our account as well to beef up the cash balance. Further west of this tenement, it's not shown on this picture, is our uranium ground, which I'll touch on in a couple of slides. Excuse me. I'll just touch on the Humpback Damara joint venture. So South 32 can earn 60%. In this ground, they have to spend $15 million over 5 years. Basically amounts to $3 million a year. We've just finished the first year anniversary, which was the 20th of July. So in that year, we did a lot of RC drilling around Fiesta. We did diamond drilling, but we gathered a lot of technical information on the broader tenement package over that 12 months. So the first year has been about information gathering. The diamond drilling that we've done in Fiesta, there's still 2 more holes that are pending assay results that should be available in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And the diamond drill rig has now moved to the Osterwell project, which is the small purple eclipse, to drill a hole. That tenement package was only granted recently. There is an EM plate that was identified that warranted drilling. So we are drilling that at the moment to see what the structures look like, and hopefully we'll hit something exciting. But the major program is actually to the east of Osterwell, which is called the Powerline project, where a 7,000 meter RC drilling program is going to start next month. This Powerline project, which is the larger purple eclipse, that was actually, it has been previously drilled by Antofagasta and Sandfire, but very sparsely drilled. And they came up with about 16 targets. Over the last year, our technical team with the South 32 technical team have reviewed this data. We've actually recently even, we're in the process of doing a drone survey, and a ground mag is planned, and that's actually identified 5 good targets to chase. So we are now currently doing the ground mag, or we are planning to do the ground mag to fine-tune the drilling targets. So there's going to be a lot of news flow coming from this area over the next 12 months. I'll quickly go towards the Botswana tenements. And the Botswana tenements are new for us. We only picked it up earlier this year. And the reason we went after that is we were drilling at some RC holes in the Damara project. The initial geological interp looked like the structures were continuing into Botswana. And our chief geologist had the finger on the pulse, and he was able to pick up the 2 tenements in the Botswana ground that had coincidentally become vacant, but other people were looking at it, and we were just fortunate enough to pick it up. And again, it tells you how friendly the mining in these countries are, because we applied for it in January, we were able to pick it up, we were granted that in February. And South 32, when we did the Namibian joint venture, South 32 took like a year, I think, to come up with and agree on a model, whereas it took us about 2 months to agree on the Botswana joint venture model, given the relationship that we built with South 32 over the last 12 months. So we are fine-tuning the final agreement, I guess, but the gist of it is it's a $5 million 5-year joint venture, $1 million per year, and South 32 will own 60% of it. I'm actually quite excited about this Botswana tenement package, and I guess neurology plays a lot in this environment. So about 100 km from these Botswana tenements is where Sandfire are operating their Mothio project. About just on the border of this tenement package, which is the south of the border, BHP and Cobre have a joint venture. They recently did a seismic survey at the end of last year. They accidentally ran it into our ground as well. So we've got a 5 kilometer line done on our ground, which is a smaller purple eclipse. And based on the seismic data, they then decided to drill 3 deep holes, probably about 1 kilometer from our border. So I think that's quite exciting because it certainly got people looking at this area. It certainly was, I think, another factor that South 32 were keen on partnering with us before somebody else came in. But we are planning now to do some geophysics in that area, and then hopefully by the end of the year start drilling in this ground as well. So again, there should be news flow coming from the Botswana side of the ground as well. I'll quickly go into the Witflay project. So the Witflay project, there is a 10 million ton resource with 1.3% copper. It's made up from 3 deposits. They're basically constrained by pit shells. We did some drilling on the northern tenement or the northern prospect called Dahahem, and that had some interesting hits. We really need to drill more in this ground to expand on this project area. There are a few operating small size copper mines in this area. So we are really looking at a strategic review on this project to see how we could get the best value for our shareholders at the moment. So that's a work in progress. And if I were to quickly go into the Namibian side of the project, on the uranium side of the project, we have access to a tenement package, which is right in the middle of the uranium district of Namibia, close to operating mines. And we are about 3 kilometers from the Tango Baraman mine that's currently being developed. We are currently doing a spectrometry survey, and based on that result, we will plan our next scope of works. But the reason we are doing the spectrometry survey is quite interesting in the fact that our geological team took all the drilling data that's available in that region. They put it through an AI modeling scenario, and the AI model basically spat out a couple of targets to look at. And we are hoping that this spectrometry survey that's being done on top of this area could verify that. And if it is verified, then we'll do a geochemical process or geochemical exercise, and then we should be able to drill that target as well. So we're just getting some science behind it, but it'll be great to see whether the spectrometry survey actually verifies what the AI is saying as well. I'll go to the Canadian project now, which is in Northern Ontario. This has got a small resource of 1.6 million tons at 1.6 million tons at 1.6 copper, and a bit of silver and gold as well. And the last time we drilled on it was, I think, 2022, and it was targeting the Lynx project within the Ornament prospect. And there were some really good hits of good gold grades, silver grades, and even copper. And given that all of these 3 commodity prices are quite strong at the moment, we are reviewing this data and looking at a strategic review on this prospect, on this project as well, on the next step in this region. So that's what's happening in Canada. So I've just given you a very short and quick overview. And I think the takeaways should be that we have a very impressive tenement holding in the Kalahari Copper Belt. The Namibian side is very much underexplored, so is the western end of the Botswana ground. And we are exploring this with the help of South 32, who will be funding it, who are providing us technical help, as well as strategic support in testing these multiple copper targets. These are multiple copper targets within a large span of ground, and we are looking for these domal structures that are going to be like 100 million tons. It'll be great if we hit the 450 million tons type deposits, but that's what we are aiming for. And the way we are going to find these deposits are by drilling, and we're doing a diamond drilling program, and the 7,000 meter RC program commencing in August should start, hopefully should start giving us a bit more insight into what we have under the surface. And our strategic alliance is a great asset for us. It initially started in Namibia, and now it's grown into, into Botswana, which is a sign of the relationship we have with South 32. And the company itself, we are looking at the strategic pathways around the Kalahari Copper project. I like the uranium prospectivity that we have, given uranium is currently at $70 a pound. And the Onamand project in Canada could actually come up with a potential future value for our shareholders as well. So on that note, I will stop, and if there's any questions, I'll take them.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Victor. That's a great run through, and it sounds like you've got a lot on offer for a 7 mil market cap. So exciting times ahead. There's quite a few questions here, so we'll go to some of the ones that came in via email first, if that's okay. There are some questions firstly about Fiesta, and the investor said that given that drilling has produced mineralisation in just about every hole so far, have you thought about, or when is it time to start thinking about either a resource estimate or an exploration target for that prospect to put some value around it?
Sure. Thanks, Nicholas. Listen, I think there's still work to be done before we come up with a resource. And the reason I'm saying that is we've just finished the dam drilling program, and we're still waiting for the results from the last 2 holes. The drilling was spaced out, so there was definitely a lot of, I think there was 500 meter spacings between some of the fences. We really need to understand it better. And sure, I do agree, all the holes had copper hits. We do need to, drill more and define a resource in time, right? But one of the things we have learned is that these are now vertical structures. They're narrow, they could be, better grades, but they're going deeper. So they look like they are more underground type potential resources, and maybe not an open pitable resource, but early stage at the moment.
Thanks, Victor. There was another one on Fiesta, so I'll just jump into that now. Do you think you're getting closer to finding the feeder source to the copper at Fiesta?
When we find out, we let the market know. But the whole idea is that with the drilling program, we're getting more information and we should be on the right track.
Excellent. There's a couple of questions about your current JORC resources at Vidflay and Onamand in Canada. And the questions are really, why do you think the market isn't pricing in those resources into the value of the company, given everything else that you already have?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think maybe we haven't taken the investors on the journey with Vidflay and the Canadian asset as much as we should have. But when I looked at the history of the company, we had Vidflay at the start, and our share price was 25 cents, right? So over time, it's just dropped off. But I think with the strategic review that we are doing. And actually, the funny thing is we're doing the strategic review on both those assets that you just questioned. We should be able to get a good idea on how to get the value for our shareholders.
I'll jump to an online question that's related to that. The question is, upon completion of that strategic review, when do you think you might drill the Namibian uranium and the Onamand projects?
Yeah, okay. Listen, ideally, the Namibian project, I think we could be drilling before the end of this year. Like, it could be in the next 3 months, but I just don't want to promise anything, because the thing is, the spectrometric survey has to verify the AI, we need to do the geochem, and it's only then we need to be confident that it's worth drilling. And if it's worth drilling, then yeah, we'll definitely do it before the end of this year.
And just on that, Victor, has that project in Namibia been drilled previously, or would this be the first time?
This will be the first one that we'll be looking at, this particular area. There's no drilling in that ground.
Okay.
So that's why when we picked it up, we said, let's have a look at all the historical results, but they were all in the outside the boundary.
Okay, excellent. A couple of corporate questions. Are you thinking about the possibility of bringing in a cornerstone or strategic investor to the company at the corporate level? You've obviously got South32 at the project level. And I guess a related question, getting the company covered by a bigger end of town stockbroker, given the South32 connection.
Yeah, sure. Listen, it's a very good question. I do agree. We will look for a strategic partner within the company, because end of the day, you have a very good joint venture partner. So we've got the funding to find something. But, as a safeguarding, as a backstop, you certainly want somebody who's actually within the camp as well. And there are definitely interested parties, that we'll be talking to, and we'll see, we'll develop some good relationships and then come up with the ideal strategic partner for Noronex. Sorry, and what was the other question, Nicholas?
I was getting some coverage from some broking coverage.
Yeah. Very much. Listen, over the last couple of months, I know we've had heaps of different broking firms have touched base, so we'll develop that relationship with them now. Some of them are probably on this webinar listening in. I know some of them have also asked us to come and present on their desk. So we'll definitely get the coverage through that. And given that now we have a news flow stream that's going to be consistent over the next 12 months, it gives us the opportunity to bring Noronex to their forefront.
Excellent. The next question here was, does South32 approve the drilling locations beforehand?
Listen, that's actually it's a good question, because end of the day, we manage the joint venture, but there's two technical teams, right? So we do the technical work, they actually review it, they actually work with us. So we actually get the best of both worlds. And I have to say, I've been quite impressed with both the technical team, the way they work. And for example, this power line drilling program that we are going to do was jointly put together, and the targets are being defined together. So everyone's ideas on the same page.
Excellent. The next question is, will you need to raise capital to drill the uranium project?
I wouldn't think so. And the reason I'm saying that is, we do have cash in the account at the moment. And as I mentioned before, we should be concluding on the Dorabis sale sometime this quarter. That should see 600 grand Aussie coming in, and that will give us the funding to drill the one or two holes that we're planning to do and have funds left over.
Excellent. An online question here, and it's a good one, Victor. So you've obviously come on board recently, fresh set of eyes. You've been to the projects recently. Within this portfolio, what gets you most excited? Do you have a target that you're particularly keen to start follow-up drilling on?
Very good question. Listen, so before I joined, I'm a mining engineer. So before I joined, I did speak to some external geologists about, is this the right place to be at? And everyone said yes. It's mainly because Namibia hasn't been explored. There's a cover, so people have kind of stayed away from it. And they all said, if you're in you're in elephant country, keep persevering and you'll land something big. So that's what's driving me. I actually think, when I went there last month, I got a good feel on the Botswana side of things, because you could see it much closely, because it's kind of outcropping, or there's not much cover on that side. And the Namibian side, the drilling and everything, it's the same continuing structure. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the area that's the area that has me excited. But because of a engineering perspective, I look at neurology, see where the nearest mines are, and you always go where the mines are is where you find your next deposit, right? So it's in that trend is what we'll be looking at.
Excellent. Thanks, Victor. I can remember the last time a mining engineer took over a $5 million junior explorer was your old friend Bill Beeman. So let's hope history repeats.
Exactly.
Another question here: what type of drill holes will you be doing at the Namibian project?
What type of drill holes?
What type of drill holes? So I guess
It's
air core.
so it's in Namibia. It's
In
going
Namibia.
to it's going to be RC drilling for the next 12 months, basically. That's our plan. The 7,000 meter program is RC. We certainly can drill more if we see something interesting. If something pops up, we could always, excuse me, bring another diamond drill rig to do the work. And South 32 are more than open to accommodating, the requests that we have. And so they have to spend, like I'm talking about Namibia now, they have to spend $15 million over 5 years, which is $3 million a year. But if we hit something that's really interesting, or they see something big, we could end up spending more within the next year. So they're open to it. We're open to it. We just have to nail something big.
Excellent. Victor, I think we've covered most of it, but there's a couple more questions here which I'll sort of combine, and maybe a good way to wrap things up, because it's really around value and what's ahead of us. Because a lot of shareholders scratch their heads. They say 7 mil market cap, all this funding, South 32, great projects, big land position. There's clearly a disconnect there. How do you see that disconnect being bridged? And I suppose broadly, where do you see the market cap and the share price heading from here?
Very good question. Listen, I think we are at a low base, and one of the reasons I joined was because it was at a low base. And I think when our drilling proves up, when the investors or the markets wakes up to the fact that copper supply is dwindling and that we are on a fantastic belt, I think that's going to wake people up. And then this is the way you want to get into a company before you actually start growing. This company could grow so fast at the back end of a drill hole. And it's not our money that we are spending to grow the company. Like, we are funded in the sense that South 32 are making available $4 million to find something and make our shareholders wealthy, right? And that's the target. That's what we're working on.
No, that sounds good. And obviously, lots of news flow in the next few weeks and months.
Yeah.
You've outlined that, but maybe just give us a quick snapshot of what we can expect over the next 2 to 3 months.
Listen, it'll be all around. So we'll have in 4 to 6 weeks, we should have the diamond drill results from Fiesta. Hopefully before that, we might even have the spectrometry type result to just give people an indication of what that has popped, what that's identified. The RC drilling program should start in August, so that'll see a continuous news flow there. The Dodhabi sale should be concluded, so that's another news flow in the sense that it'll give people comfort that maybe there's adequate funding. So it's just things like that will be what we'll be doing over the next 2-3 months. But after that, it's going to be drill results, and that's what will keep us engaged.
No, that sounds great. Well, look, thanks very much. There's going to be lots of investor touch points over the next few weeks and months as well. I think you're heading to Diggers, presenting at a lunch there. You're coming to our Gold Coast conference in mid-September, so lots of opportunities to catch up with you and the team.
Yeah, very much. And hopefully by the time we've got some good hits to talk about, and share price could be something different.
Yeah, let's hope so. Well, there's nothing like exploration success. Yes. And good drilling results, is there? So look, thanks very much. That was a great run through. We might wrap it up because I think we've covered all the questions. But Victor, thanks for coming in, and thanks for your time this morning. It sounds like a fantastic story over the next few months.
No worries. Thanks very much, Nicholas. Thanks for having me.